I don't yet have a mount set up in the car that will attach to this yet. So I'm just holding it right now, which is why I waited until I got off the beaten path and onto a side road. The speed limit's 25 miles an hour, so nice and slow. I'm not doing highway speeds. Welcome back to another morning out. It is September the 17th at 6:40 in the morning. Doesn't quite have the same ring as the quote, but driving lakeside currently to get to a trailhead that I am going to today. That will be the focus of today's activities. We're going to see what we can see. We have been it's been a few weeks, unfortunately, and I have been itching to get out, especially because I have some new tools, some new toys. One of them is what I'm currently holding, which is a camera, nice little pocket-sized camera on a gimbal, which is super light, and I'm enjoying it so far. Mandatory boat inspection. I'm not getting my boat inspected. Okay. Got it a few weeks ago when I was really willing to try it out. The last time we went out, I basically talked about all the problems I was having with my previous camera setup, like I was hoping for, that it would solve some of the problems that I was experiencing and what I wanted to do with that camera, and it just is too big and too heavy and not really doing what I want. And I realized I'm trying to make one camera do everything, and it doesn't need to do everything, and it, as a matter of fact, can't do everything. And if I try to make it do everything, it winds up too heavy and falls out of the mounts. The suction cup mount here on the car will lean over, and just the whole thing. So this thing is tiny and weighs like nothing and has a gimbal, so it should, be somewhat stabilized while I am walking about. And I did get a clip so I can put it like on my shoulder. That's what I'm going to try today, which I can't really do if I have everything all used up. No cars coming. Okay, cool. This bridge isn't really big enough for two cars, so you kind of have to go one at a time here. But there's no cars coming. Anyway, we're just going to go out, walk around on this trailhead. It is by a lake, not the lakes that I'm currently driving past, but by a lake, and I will see what I can see, what nature has for me today. And I brought still photography stuff. That's all I have today. One of the other things I'm super excited about was I got some upgrades for landscape, and also it kind of twofold because I plan on doing product videos with it for my contract work. So I was like, oh well, I can justify it here as that, and then because September has 5 paychecks in it, I got some extra money this month, so I went ahead and spent it immediately, of course, but keeping myself from going further into debt while still getting some stuff. But the point is, I got a whole setup for landscape, trying to improve my landscape video, which is what I have been doing, as that is, I want to show more of what I see when I'm going out. And so I got a slider to be able to come out and set up and take moving shots, because I think that works really well. And it's not quite on the gimbal, which has some problems, but I'll use both of them in combination. We'll see. I have yet to test it because we have been stuck inside. 2 weekends ago was a holiday weekend, and I already went, well, I've been going hard as it is and trying to do the stuff. I'm going to take this weekend off And then the following weekend, I didn't really plan for it, and then I went. We got COVID vaccines for the new booster that was out, which knocked me on my butt for like 3 days, running a fever and sore and generally just sick. Just feeling, not actually sick, but just feeling real run down. So, did not make it out last weekend. Huh. What's not supposed to happen?
In 400 feet.
It's pretty crowded. There's almost no parking spots. So that's not really what I had in mind, but we're still going to try. We're still going to go walk around for a little while and see what we can see. Maybe. I know that the trail itself is like 14 miles long, and I have no intention of doing much of that. I just wanted to walk around the lake itself, so we'll go see what it's like and how crowded it is. Can you hear that? I actually don't know if you can. I'll try putting it right next to the window to see if the microphones on this will pick it up, because I don't know if my lav will. It's raining. Just started raining. And it's coming down pretty well. So that kind of puts a hamper on things. I'm not really dressed for rain. I didn't bring my rain jacket or anything. I didn't really plan for rain because the forecast didn't call for it. It did say clouds, but it's raining. Also, there's a lot of cars here. There's a lot of people, but I assume they're further along the trail than I would be going. So we are just going to wait and see how it plays out. Maybe the rain will stop soon. I have 0 cell signal, so I cannot even check to see what the clouds are like in the forecast to see if there's going to be more rain. But we're going to hang out for a bit. Listen to the rain. We're going to test this. This little pocket camera here that I have is on a mount there. And whoop, there's that. That's not going to work. Can I point you up? Will you stay? Okay. It's not quite what I want. Okay. Now we're going to try again. Nobody coming. Able to pull out, back onto the road. Okay. We got 38% battery on this thing. We'll see how long that lasts. It was a fine day out. It was still good. It wasn't maybe the best, and that's fine. It doesn't need to be the best. I still had a good time. I could just see that thing bouncing all over the place. When we get back to paved roads, it should go better. Yeah. I'll try to stabilize it in post as well. We'll see what we can do. As far as this pocket camera goes, I like it. I'm glad I got that. I think that is a good kind of trade-off. It's small. It's very lightweight. Battery's not going to be amazing. The sensor's going to be tiny. It's going to be grainy when there's not enough light. Like, there are trade-offs for it, but the fact that I can just put it in my pocket, it's on a gimbal, so it should be as stabilized as it can be. It should get some smooth shots for what I'm doing for the video. It works. I can handhold it very well. It's real easy. Because it's on a gimbal, that camera, when it turns off, it just flips around to try to protect it, which is great because I just put it straight into my pocket and pull it out whenever I stop and see anything interesting. The microphones are not, apparently it has 4 microphones on it in different places. I'm sure that they're terrible. I really haven't even tested it because I immediately went, well, I'm not going to try to use that anyway because I know I won't be happy with the audio quality. I just needed to have some kind of audio so I can sync to, and the lav that I'm wearing goes to a little pocket recorder, which I had a little bit of trouble with today as far as kind of testing out, this new stuff. I put the batteries in it, and it immediately, like I did it the other day when I recorded something the other day. It's just like a little follow-up, and it gave me low battery lights as well. There's no screen. It's just the one thing flashing, and I went, that doesn't seem right. These should be fully charged batteries. So then I charged the batteries again, and maybe it just doesn't like these rechargeable batteries that I use for a lot of stuff. Could be. I don't know. I went in as well because there was a setting where you go in and you select your battery type. So I went in and did that, and it still was doing that, and I recorded for 5 minutes this morning when I got here after I got off the highway, and it actually died on me. And that's why I have an earbud in, is because I am monitoring my own audio as I go, so I know if it cuts out, or if I know if anything, because this is now my sole source of good audio, which is what it did. Turned off. So I put in the other batteries, brand new, freshly charged, same thing. Immediately popped up with flashing low batteries. Doesn't make any sense. I'm not sure why. I went in and changed the settings like I talked about. There are settings in there for the type of battery that I'm using, and I selected the type of battery, and still, I don't know. I'll play with it to see if I've got it, but thankfully as a backup, it can just take in a USB-C, and I've got a battery bank. So I just plugged that in, stuck that in my pocket, put it in, and I've had no trouble, and I've been going and technically recording for 4 hours. So that was kind of my goal. I just want to have the option to have audio at all points, so that at any point if I start doing something, I don't necessarily do it all that often where I stop and talk and need my audio for that. But having it going, it's just, I don't even need to think about it. I just put in the earbud, and it actually helps me hear better than my own hearing as to what's around and stuff. So that's kind of cool too. It's not necessarily what I was thinking I would do. I just wanted it in there so that I know that when I'm recording audio without having to look at something and then never have to go, oh, I got it. So that was those were the new equipment things today. I talked about it a little bit earlier. I do have some other new things that I want to try out at some point. Maybe this weekend. We'll see. I've got the only other thing that I really have to do is the contract work. I've got that's been sitting for a week or two now, and I need to get on to that. I haven't done it just yet, but I will. I'll be doing photos and possibly some video work probably tomorrow. We'll see. But anyway, as far as going out today, it was fine. I didn't really see much wildlife, unfortunately. Just kind of is what it is, I guess. It's fine. I still got the cool. It's a really pretty place. Very, like, I could easily come back here, and I might, to do the landscape video stuff like I'm talking about, to try to practice with the slider and using, the camera. At that point, it'll be the pocket cinema, which is what I've used before, and it'll be with a manual lens, and the whole 9 yards of just trying to practice. And I've been doing a bit of research on what makes better landscape video, I guess, kind of things like that. How can I show more? How can I tell more? That kind of stuff, because it is necessary if I'm going to be making wildlife videos and showing that stuff. You kind of have to show the environment that they're in. So that was my kind of reasoning behind it for getting it. So I do want to get to that and practice. So I might come back out here to do that, because it is a really pretty lake with mountain ranges and everything, and I could come out and do that. It wouldn't take very long, and the sun, that's the only thing, is the sun rising right behind it can be useful, especially if it's behind a cloud. If it's full on, it's a bit much. But I did get an ND filter for the matte box that goes with the camera, so there's that. But yeah, today, not really any wildlife. I walked a good while. I mean, I was out in total, like I said, about 4 hours. I saw geese on the water. That was cool. But, always nice. No, it doesn't really surprise me. They are very common. They're very far away, so I didn't get really good pictures of them or anything, but still kind of cool to see. But that was I saw a larger hawk at one point, but it was there and gone so quickly I couldn't even begin to think about getting the camera. I had it out the whole time. I just didn't have it pointed anywhere close. Plus, I've shot large birds or small birds or anything against a very bright sky backdrop, and you get a cool silhouette. So I would have taken it. Don't get me wrong. I would have done that had I seen it a little bit earlier. But that was it. And I heard birds here and there. Mostly I heard squirrels as I walked through the woods. But just really not much actually came into view that I could see and see with the lens. And I've had this before. And unfortunately, I'm trying new places. I'm going to, I've never been here before, and I walked around. It definitely was, I picked the right side of the lake, because the other side, the trail, is where it goes on much further. And I did not make it all the way around before I started heading back, because I don't know if the trail actually connects. I could not tell from any of the maps if the trail goes all the way around the lake. It definitely, I think what it does, from what I could tell, is it goes along the south side of the lake and then much further over, another mile before it connects back to the trail, and then it comes back. And in total, that many miles is not what I had in plan for walking today, so I did not want to to do that. But yeah, most people definitely were on the other side of the lake, and I think they were going. It's a trail up to like the top of a mountain. Like I said, 14 miles. Not interested in that. 4 miles around the lake is possible, I think, if that's what it was. It's not marked. That is not like here's the trail and this is the trail and it's a 4-mile loop right around this way. It wasn't exactly marked like that. So I don't know. I don't know how far I walked today. I don't know. I walked until I felt like I didn't want to walk anymore. Stopping the whole way and looking at the scenery. I saw several cool things, which is great because, not a lot of wildlife. I think right at the end, as I was getting ready to leave, as I was walking back, there was one point where I had walked off the trail to let some people pass. And I happened to see a chipmunk up on a log just chewing down on something. some nuts and berries. I think just nuts, not berries. But that was cool. And I think I was very close and I was able to get some decent pictures there. So that would be the highlight of the day as far as that goes. But just seeing stuff, it's very pretty. It's nice. It's the mountain ranges. It's everything there. You're right next to the lake, so there's plenty of water. It makes for cool landscape. There are streams of water running down off the mountain that you have to cross over. So I went over some logs that they had, they've got walking areas, so they do have kind of set up for some logs to walk across, which was cool. There was a bridge at one point that I crossed. Let's see. I saw, an old log house, kind of. Very old, very fallen apart, and I'm guessing it slid down because I don't think where it was, and there was plenty of logs all around and everything, but it was at one point and clearly fell down. But it was cool to see the remains of something like that. And then further on, and I cannot explain this, there was some kind of machinery, old, gotta be train, like maybe not, but I don't know what else it would be. Like, it was a giant chimney, huge, and it had a metal base, and it was attached to things, and there were wheels, and clearly, like, where cables could go around. So it very much looked to me, without any kind of knowledge of it, like it was part of a train, like it was the boiler for a train. I don't know if boiler is the right word there, but what it is now is just a place to have a fire, I suppose. Because that's what was filled. That's what was in it, was lots of wood and sticks and logs. That was really cool. I did not expect to see that out in the middle of nowhere. It's huge. I don't know how you could even get it there. I don't think there were ever train tracks running here. There are train tracks through the mountains. I was looking that up the other day because I can hear trains in the small mountain town where I live. And looking at where they go and everything, they do head to the bigger city by tunnel, which made me wonder, because I never really thought about it. And I was listening to a podcast earlier this week where they said something about how trains have a very low grade that they can climb. The percentage is like single digit. It's like 2 or 3%. I don't know that for sure. Don't take my word on that, but I did not look that up. I just heard about it and went, oh, that's neat, because I never thought about it. Cars can, go much higher. They grip the rubber tires and everything. Trains, it's very small. The wheels are small. They're just on the track, and although there are a lot of them, the road is really bumpy here. Hold on, let me get across this because it's loud. So anyway, a train has very low connection with the tracks, a very small amount. They said something like the actual surface area connection that is made is like the size of a postage stamp per wheel. So it basically has no grip, so it cannot generate the force to climb. So they have to keep train tracks very, very long, and they go out of their way to do this to make sure that the grade is very gradual, very slow. And so that's got to be how, it goes several thousand feet up in elevation to down. It's just a really long very gradual track. So you don't even, I'm sure you don't even notice it if you're on it, because it has to go for so long. But yeah, I did look up the train system, and anyway, I don't know the history of it. I don't think it ever ran through national parks or anything. It's definitely possible. So I don't know how that could have gotten there, is the point. That's not, you could not get a car there, so it's not a modern thing. It's definitely old. But by boat, maybe? Oh, maybe it was for a boat. Oh. That lake isn't big enough. Why would there be a steamboat on that lake? But now that I think about it, train or boat, definitely some part of engine that ran on fire, that had an engine, something like that. Maybe for a steamboat. I have no idea. But gigantic and metal and probably weighed more than several of my car put together. Like, that thing's probably been there a century. And I'm fascinated to know how that could possibly be. And obviously, whatever it was now, all they've done is just kind of open it up, and well, now there's sure is a whole lot of signs that say you're not supposed to stop there, and yet you've literally done that. Good job. So yeah, really cool. Got to see a lot of cool stuff. Scenery is very pretty, but as far as wildlife, not so much today. And I started saying this before, I've definitely had that going to a place that is much bigger. The wildlife seems more sparse. I doubt it actually is, but it's just so big that they can go so far. Like, yes, I heard bird calls every once in a while, but I'd look and I wouldn't actually see anything, and then I wouldn't hear it again because presumably they just flew off somewhere else. So I still am trying to develop the skill of, I guess, tracking and trying to figure out where wildlife would be in such a large area like this. Because, yeah, I've been out to, well, there's a whole tree full of crows right there. They're huge. That's where the crows are. We're basically almost out of the park at this point and onto, there's farmland right there. So yeah, that was just a tree with like 15 gigantic crows in it. Oh, there's a nest right there, isn't that? I can't stop. There's other cars on the road, but yeah, that's really cool. There's the top of that. I think it was an old. Hold on. Almost back to paved roads. An old telephone pole or power line. Not anymore, but there was still one up there, and so they just had a platform, and there was a huge nest. Big nest for some kind of big bird. Very cool. So, yeah, that was it. I think I realized before, and what I'm doing now will just be part of the personal vlog because didn't really see any wildlife. Not much to talk about. I can put some of the landscape stuff, but yeah, I will use it. I'm not saying I won't. I just don't know. I'll probably put it to its own video if it's good enough. I do like to try to do that with just with the better cameras that can show more of it. So we'll see. It may be part of this one. Who knows? Maybe this is just one long video. Yeah, I got new toys. I got a vaccine. 2, technically. Got a flu shot at the same time, which really killed my arm. Whew. It's the first time I've ever had a flu shot, which I don't know why. I know why, because my parents are stupid and did not vaccinate any of us. I don't know if I have several siblings, and I don't know if any of us have ever had any vaccinations. I'm pretty sure most of them as adults have gone, oh, that was stupid, and went and got them. And so I need to do that as well. I just don't have health insurance, so it is more expensive for me to do something like that. Thankfully, my work covered these, the most recent ones. Although the COVID one, despite the fact that I read everything online that they were putting it going, well, we'll bill it to insurance or you'll pay for it out of pocket. It's no longer covered by the government. definitely was covered by the government when I got mine last week. So, hey, that's great, because my money does not go, I barely have any as it is. So I'd pay for that out of my pocket and do what I have to, but I don't really have a huge budget for something like that. I am saving, though. Okay, let's see here. No, we're not going to pull out in front of somebody. We're going to wait. So yeah, my arm was really, really sore last week, and I ran a fever overnight, and then I just kind of felt drained the whole rest of the weekend, which is par for the course on vaccines, since your body has to get acclimated, your immune system getting boosted and fighting off the antibodies, or you're gaining antibodies. I'm not a scientist. Don't listen to me for advice on anything like that. This battery's almost dead, so we're gonna be wrapping this up right quick, especially since I just got back onto a main road where I'm gonna be doing faster speeds, so focus needs to be on the road. But just to touch up kind of on anything I've really done in the last 2 weeks, it's mostly been playing video games, staying inside, accomplishing some things in games. I got quite a lot to talk about for Pokemon when the time comes, but we're not quite there yet. I want to do a whole thing on that, because despite it, I mean, it's just I put so much time into it over the last year and change, achieving the goals that I want to, and why, and the whole thing. But that's for the future. The other thing that I really want to talk about was just that I realized I mentioned it before, and I don't really remember what I said because it's almost a month ago at this point, but I think I had the wrong idea of the photo class that I was doing, the photography class, which was hosted by the Museum of Modern Art through a website like where you do online courses, called Seeing Through Photographs. And it should have cued me in from the title of it, let's be real, Seeing Through Photographs. I think, because I think I had the mental, like, I don't want to see like the fancy art stuff, because I don't want people critiquing it and trying to talk about, because to me, art can be beautiful to anybody, and like it just takes the right person looking at it. And I don't think a technical eye, like something could be technically composed well and accurate and things like that, and everyone could be like, on a technical level, this is great, but that doesn't mean that there's not going to be someone who looks at it and goes, I get nothing from this. And that's why, because it goes both ways. Someone who does not have all the technical skill of doing that can still compose a photograph and create art that someone else just really connects with without knowing that. So to me, it was always kind of that, like, the finer things, the critiquing and seeing it as a higher form of like fine art. I was never interested in that. And so I avoided things like that, because to me, I don't look at that. That doesn't fly for me. I don't feel the same way as that. So I've never given any credence to that, I suppose. But that's not what this course was about at all. It was just seeing through photographs. It was the deeper understanding. It wasn't critiquing. It wasn't negative in any way. It wasn't trying to talk about the composition or the technical or the nitty gritty or anything like that. It was just, look at what people can do. Look at why this is art. Here is a greater understanding and appreciation of it. And we looked at so much that I didn't know about, and so many things. It was a lot more like, I have done very minimal research on things, because I do wind up, I can't disassociate myself enough from my own work to be able to look at others so much. So I typically just don't. I don't go on social media, or I don't follow any kind of photographers or anything like that, because all I could do is look at the photo, and the first thing my mind goes to is, why am I not doing that, or how come I'm not as good as, or anything like that. It's really hard for me to get to that point. But doing it in a course style where I knew I was going into it, it wasn't just a random thing that popped up. I knew that's what the point was. That helped. And it was a lot less of subjects that I actually gravitate towards. Like, it was a lot of people photography, portrait photography, and just like urban photography and street photography, and going out and things like that, and using them as like movements to tell what was happening during terrible times back, like war, and in the different time periods where it's still happening today, of people being treated unfairly and things like that. Just and so much of them like creating art not just through a camera. Like, one of them was really fascinating to me, was the way that they did it using pictures. Like, they didn't even use, they themselves, the artist I suppose, did not use a camera, so much as they took already existing photographs and combined them in different ways. And that was really neat to see of different things. And so it did give me this understanding and this appreciation, and I'm just really happy with it. And clearly, I had a different... I hope that what I was able to take away from that was a greater appreciation, a greater understanding, and kind of a larger overarching sense of photography that hopefully I can use in my own way as well to kind of tell the story. And that's the point, right? Like, so much of it goes into that exact moment when you click the shutter. It's difficult to explain. I'm not a teacher, unfortunately. It would be great. That's what a lot of people who do YouTube videos are there explaining and talking to other people. That's not so much me. I can't... ooh, look at all the birds there by the side of the road. That's where I need to go. I'm still learning. Still practicing, still figuring out. Maybe the mountain range doesn't work so well going on mountain hikes because there's not so much wildlife with all that, but there are places to go. I just have to figure it out. And I mean, I found this one by looking on the birding app, where you locate. They've got hot spots and things like that, and that's how I found this place. Was going, okay, yeah, there's tons of birds here. People have seen them all the time, and I think that's probably true. They have. I just didn't wind up in a spot where there were any today. Happens. Oh well. Anyway, getting back onto a major highway now for sure, so time to wrap it up. Still a good day today. Still had a good time. Happy with everything that happened. Glad to be out and doing it again. Hopefully we'll be doing more of that soon enough. But it is not this day.